Hello everyone and welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Zerg versus Protoss where we find ourselves on the map Tropical Sacrifice. Spawning right here in the top right-hand corner, playing with the red Zerg drones, we have Reynor. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Protoss pieces, he goes by the name of Strange. Alrighty, so this particular game was recently played during DreamHack Atlanta, and it's one of the recommended replays, so I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up going down between these two players. Now, if I were to make a guess, it's probably gonna be all eyes on Strange here, because maybe he's gonna play some sort of strange build order, right? That would at the very least make sense. It is gonna be a gateway first. While the replay was loading, I thought maybe it could be a cannon rush or something along those lines, but alright, nothing all too weird just yet. Here's the thing. While Strange is very good, he's currently the rank 42 in the world overall, which is certainly very respectable. He is not quite Reynor's level of good. Reynor currently the rank 3 on the planet, previous world champion of StarCraft 2. He's won a whole load of tournaments, yada yada yada. If you've watched any StarCraft, you're probably well familiar with Reynor. And because of that, I do think the pressure is going to be on Strange to, come up with something that is going to halt Reynor's progression. He decides to go for a relatively late probe scout. A lot of Protoss players like to send out those probes super early these days to try and even block the Zerg's natural from coming up. Pretty nice, but obviously even when you force out the third base to be taken first rather than the natural with a super early probe scout, is it really going to affect someone like Reynor? Honestly, most of the time, probably not. It's going to be a 20 supply Nexus, followed up by a 20 supply Cybercore. Everything is very normal up to this point in the game. I think we'll probably have to see what kind of tech he decides to go for. Most of the time in the current meta of StarCraft 2, the Protoss players like to go for the, the Stargate, right? The Stargate against Zerg is super popular. Usually Chrono Boost out up to like, well, really up to like 5 Oracles. Some players have taken it to an extreme, but usually we see like at least 1, 2, maybe even 3 Oracles. That's pretty standard. Sometimes we see continued Oracle production in the middle stage of the match as well, but we'll have to wait until the Cybernetics core is done, until we can see that tech route right here from Strange. Okay, so he decides to go straight into the Warp Gate research, as well as that gateway production. So this is definitely something that Reynor has picked up on. You can notice the little spinning right there and the glowing inside of the Cybercore to, even spot, even though you can't see exactly what's researching, right? That little graphic on top of the Cybercore, the players cannot see, but he sees the animation, and he knows at this point that something is researching in the Cybercore, and the same for the gateway over here. The gateway, it's got like 4 arms that lead towards the top of the gateway. You'll see when the Adept spawns here. Oh, okay, well, he queued up another Stalker as well. Anyways, those arms go back down when the gateway is actually idle. So it's gonna be a Twilight Council. Interesting, okay. Most of the time, whenever it's a Twilight Council, we see players going for the good old Adept push. Glaive Adept, not as popular as the Stargate opener, that's for sure, but still something that we see quite frequently. Alright. Adept just defending the main base, interestingly enough, okay. So that's a big indicator to me. Okay, there it is. I was gonna say, that's a big indicator to me that it does not matter to Strange what he is going up against. So Strange at this point did not scout the opponent's third base. Although, again, this is probably a safe bet to make. You can certainly make the assumption that Reynor is going to be taking that one. He decided to rush out a Dark Shrine. So, a Dark Shrine rush. We saw this a little bit, again, when the new multiplayer balance patch went live. Well, I say new. It's been like, I don't even want to make a guess. Probably at least half a year. Time seems to go pretty quickly, though. It's StarCraft year, so maybe it's been closer to, I don't know, 9, maybe, I don't know. Anyhow, he decided to go for a very, very quick Dark Shrine. When we saw that build, it was usually combined with a Robo facility. Alright, to then go for Archon drones. So we maybe see like a couple of those units over on the other side of the map, and then as soon as the Dark Templar were denied, we would see players going straight into... Oh, okay. So it is indeed a bit of a strange build, huh? You had it in the name. It's immediately into Shadow Strike. This is the fastest possible Shadow Strike you can get. So Shadow Strike is a research that allows you to blink your Dark Templar. Pretty helpful, pretty good. He's already warping them in the bottom right-hand corner with a proxy pylon. Ooh, this is bad. Okay, he actually loses both of those Adepts, I believe. Yeah, that's rough. That means that the third base is actually unprotected. Yeah, the Adepts should have definitely been over here. That's a big mistake. Honestly, that might be the end of that third Nexus. Yeah, I think so. Alright, anyways, he's saving up the Dark Templar in the bottom right-hand corner. Probably gonna do another warp in, and by the time that indeed those DTs are gonna be on the other side of the map, they should have the blink ability available as well. At this point, Reynor is sitting with a couple of Spore Crawlers. Exactly how much does he have? He's got a good economy. He's got detection available as well. Detection is nice, but the units are gonna be able to get rid of that... Ooh. Okay, he fully walled himself in. Interesting. I would be very concerned right now if I was Reynor. Anyways, they're gonna be able to just blink on top of those Spore Crawlers and get rid of them very, very rapidly. Or he could use it defensively, I suppose. Well, this is the first time, there we go, that the Dark Templar showed themselves, and that is the end of that natural. Yeah, the Dark Templar deals such a ridiculous amount of damage. You can transfuse us all you want. He's trying to bring a Spore Crawler down from the main base, but that may actually be a mistake, because now he's not going to be able to burrow that one. Oh, he's going to try, but the DT damage is just so high. Okay, they're going to blink on over to the third base as well. That is the final Spore Crawler in this particular game. Reynor did panic and make a lair right away, so that's nice, I suppose. He's sniping a couple of the DTs underneath those Overlords, but at this point, there is no detection anymore for the Zerg player from Italy. He's going to finish up the lair. That will allow him to make an Overseer. Overseers are, of course, also detectors. Now even the third hatchery is in some trouble. He's dealing a lot of damage, but there's still no third base available here for the Protoss. Yeah, he's finally... Oh my god, imagine if those Adepts were actually at the right place at the right time. Like, if those Adepts would have been between the Nexus and the Pylon, and then the Shield Battery finished as well... I think the third Nexus would have been alive at this point, and he would have been in a phenomenal position. Right now, it's a good position, don't get me wrong. But not a game-winning one, I don't think. Okay. Double Immortal production, by the way, on the back of this as well. Lovely play. So Strange is transitioning... Yeah, away from what we normally see. So the standard right now is, well... Oracles and Stalkers, and then eventually into other units as well, but a lot of gateway-based armies for sure. This is a Dark Templar Blink Opener, followed up by double Immortal Robo Facility. That's... To be fair, if a Zerg player sees something like this, and it's actually kind of cheeky as well, because... Oh, hold that thought. Maybe there's... Yeah, there's a little bit more trouble once again at the front. Beautiful little block there. Did you see that? Reynor just freaking... block that Stalker from retreating with a little changeling that he dropped down. Yeah, Reynor's Zergling control is probably best in the world. Very lovely plays with just a handful of units, really. Getting a lot of damage done on the other side of the map. Anyways, I was going to bring up that Strange is banking on the idea that his opponent is going to rebuild the Roach facility, because he did indeed snipe the Roach Warren at the front, while chrono boosting out 2 Immortals at once, which is kind of ironic, because the Immortals are bad against anything but Roaches and Ravagers. I mean, they're going to be decent, I guess, against some other units as well, but the alternative is usually Hydraling Bane. If that would have been what Reynor transitioned into, I've got a feeling that all of those Immortals would have been completely pointless. Anyhow, imagine, though, if this third Nexus would have actually lived the first time around. The economy here on the side of the Protoss would have been absolutely massive. Right now, the game is... relatively even, with probably even a slight advantage for Reynor. I haven't really had the camera on him all too much, but his macro is, as you may have already guessed, on point. Like, one of the reasons why he struggled against the Dark Templar is because he was, well, playing very greedy. Didn't have a lot of army, didn't have a lot of tech, so that means obviously that he made a lot of workers, and while he did lose a couple of them, really not that many, right? So 7 drones were killed in this game in total so far. Okay, so the follow-up here from Protoss is Archon Immortal. Archon Immortal, Zealots with Charge, and then a couple of Sentries that are still left over here. This is a unit composition that we used to see a lot, well, historically at least, but we haven't seen a lot of this army in quite a while. Okay, here comes the Prism. I think that Strange is ready to go for an attack. Yeah, he's got 8 gateways. He's chrono boosting out the upgrades as well. Okay, reinforcing units. Should be able to get rid of these Zerglings over here. There's a Photon Cannon coming up as well. But this is probably where we need to keep our eyes. Reynor is making a large army. He's got a ton of Roach Ravager. He's still got some Spine Crawlers from the earlier stages of the game, too. I wonder how much damage he's going to be able to deal here, though. Because Strange is going to try, but he needs to be very cautious. There's a very nice supply lead here. No cancel. Okay. That is the entire cost of the hatchery down the drain. Here's where all of that Zerg value went, though. There's a massive Zerg force. These Protoss units are heavy hitters, though. The supply count can be a little bit deceiving. Good set of force fields here. Not only forcing the Zerg player to back off, but also, well, forcing them to rain those biles on the force field rather than on the actual Protoss units. Could be difficult to actually get out of here. Yeah, he decides to recall. I actually think that's smart. He was thinking probably about knocking down those rocks. But the rocks, yeah, it would take a little while. There's a chance that the opponent decides to set up a surround. So that's a clever little play. Strange felt the pressure there. And he decided to back off. Reynor didn't really have a surround ready to go, but you never really know where the Zerg units are going to be coming from next. +3 starting up here for Protoss as well. Robo Bay also coming up, so that opens up the potential for disruptors here. Don't think you want to be making a bunch of Colossi into this sort of unit composition. Okay, battery overcharge is going to be very helpful. Shield batteries in general are going to be very good when it comes to defending against these pushes. Still a lot of immortals available. Gonna have to micro out of those biles. Not doing a perfect job when it comes to that unit control. Probably because he's busy juggling with the Warp Prism instead. There's so many immortals. Yeah, we barely see any immortal play right now in the current meta of ZVP, but when controlled properly, those bad boys certainly pack a punch. And now the Disruptors are coming up. Okay. Disruptors are a fantastic follow-up. Nicely done here, though, by Reynor as well. He's probably anticipating that move, and he decides to go for a Hive. Hydra then coming up as well, so that's going to allow him to eventually go into Lurkers and Hive upgrades at Lurker Tech as well. It's going to be sweet. Roach is immediately already heading down south. This is, again, Reynor's game sense, right? His game sense is very good. He knows exactly what he needs to be expecting. The most likely follow-up is Disruptors here, but he, yeah, started up the Hive at a perfect moment. So the main reason, I think, for the Hive here, by the way, is to get Vipers going. Vipers are really good against, well, not just the Disruptors, but even also the Immortals and the Archons, and basically all of those heavy hitters. Fourth Nexus gets the Knight. Okay. That's going to be a tricky part, actually. Normally, you take the fourth base over here on the left side, which I do think is a pretty good idea. But economically speaking, Strange is in a tricky spot. There's the Lurker Den coming up. It's going to be at least another 3 minutes or so until all of those upgrades are finished. And I think that may very well be what Strange is aiming for as well. He doesn't know the Lurker Tech is coming. But if he waits for too long, there's a good chance that, yeah, these armies will just get destroyed. Like, the funny thing is, this is a good army against, like, 6, 7, 8 Lurkers or so. But as soon as the Lurker count gets really large, it's super difficult to break it with ground units, and you're almost forced to go for air. Especially if the Disruptors end up getting abducted by the Vipers that are now coming up as well. Okay. So securing a fourth base and securing a third base has been the main problem here. Yeah. Reynor just trying to use that economical advantage here. There's the Seismic Spines research. There's the Vipers trying to soak up as much energy here as possible. Looks like there was a Disruptor Purification Nova connecting there with at least some of those Roaches and Ravagers. But Reynor is now mostly sacrificing the Roaches and Ravagers. The age of the Roach Ravager has ended. We're now transitioning towards the Hydralisk instead. There's the +3 coming up as well. Alright. You can actually get Blink Dark Templar done really quite early, right? What was the timing on that? I'll have to go back into the replay. I think it must have been like 5 minutes? Like, the Blink upgrade is one of the longest upgrades on the DTs in the entire game. But, yeah. It's actually funny how quickly he got that done. Really? He just sniped one of his own Roaches. Anyway. I think he did anyways. So, this is a good timing. If Strange goes right now, I actually think it's a pretty good moment for him. Ooh. Beautiful. Very nice bowling balls. If he goes right now, there's a good chance that he can actually catch Reynor off guard. Now, the Vipers have energy, but I mentioned that because the Lurkers aren't really there in super large numbers yet. Like, they don't have their full upgrades. Strange needs to get damage done with this, though, because he doesn't have the best economy. It's not like Reynor has a massive economy either, but I like his position economically speaking, and map control-wise a little bit better. There's a Zealot run by on the left side of the map too, but I believe that most of this will be dealt with. Brenda over here, very brave, trying to get those Protoss units off her lawn. This time around, the rocks will be opened up, so he can retreat. But yeah, the lurkers are spotted. Maybe this fight should have taken place a little bit sooner. It probably would have been better for the Protoss player. Okay, so the longer that this goes on, the more lurkers there's going to be, and the more powerful those lurkers will be as well. Here come the abductions. Ooh. So one thing to note is that the Purification Nova is cancelled when the unit gets abducted while that ability is channeling. So that's usually one of the main reasons why against Robo Babe play, the Viper is an excellent option. You can obviously abduct units into the lurkers, and then suddenly it's very, very difficult to get damage done as the Protoss player. Okay, he actually decides to double down on ground units. No air transition or anything like that coming up, so he must feel pretty comfortable about it. But those abductions are absolutely lethal. Brilliant play right there by Reynor. Grabbing that unit composition as it, like, wandered on the creep, right? Why was it wandering on the creep? Well, the creep because it's been spread so far forward. He's got so much value out of the creep right now because he saw that army coming in. Probably never actually left his vision. That's a couple of those units going down for free. Zealots not getting lucky. Not grabbing the hatch. It's very low in hit points, but still alive. Okay, Storm is coming up. How many disruptors do we have at this point? It's only 3, yeah. So 6 disruptors have been picked off. Resource-wise, this has been an efficient game here for Strange, but income-wise, this is where Reynor is slowly but surely grabbing an advantage for himself. Okay. This is the first time that Zerg decides to go for a big push. Those spines can go across the little crevice here. How it works, nobody knows. Doesn't matter. And they can do a lot of damage from a lot of distance. There's an abduction on one of those. Since now the Purification Novas have to go around the corner, they might just not have enough range. Pretty good position, actually, for Reynor. Not a location that we normally see being used very much, but that is actually super sick. Zealots here still trying to be annoying. A couple of lurkers, though, are tasked with defending, well, right beneath that Overlord cloud. It's hard to tell, but what is easy to look at right now is the fact that the Nexus got blown up. Oh my god, at the same time, once again, Protoss. Ooh, aggressively moving down that ramp. Strange actually just takes this battle over here, and it may actually be the right call. Oh, I get a little bit scared every time I see a Protoss player just standing in those lurker spines. Now there's no longer any detection, so he's taking a ton of damage here as he tries to disengage. A couple of reinforcing Hydras. Trying their very best. That was indeed a mistake. It looked pretty good there for Strange for just a moment, but that fight was certainly not ideal. Okay. Reynor still happily upgrading whatever he can. GG eventually, though, is cold. And Reynor has managed to outgrow Strange over the course of the match. Okay, so let's have a quick look at exactly how Strange managed to pull that off. So, pile on the low ground, into a gateway, then into an assimilator in the main base, 20 supply Nexus, 20 supply Cybercore. There were a couple of tells in this game that I think could have been helpful for Reynor, and if Reynor plays against Strange again and he does something similar, I wouldn't be surprised if Reynor decides to respond a little bit differently as well. So there's the 20 supply Nexus, 20 supply Cybercore. Now we continue pro production, second pylon in the main base, another gas as well. So it is straight into an Adept, and now straight into the Cybercore upgrade too. This is something that Reynor has certainly looked for at this point, and he knows that both of those things are producing. So, by the way, in the Cybercore, you only have air attacks, air armor, and warp gates. So, at this point in the game, I mean, it could technically, if it's a crazy, crazy build, +1. It could be +1 flyer attacks, but I highly doubt it. So, there's finally the Twilight Council. Now, one thing I want to bring up is the Adept. Because this Adept initially shades forward. And at this point, it decides to idle at home instead. This is a relatively small tell, but definitely something that Reynor will be looking out for in the next couple of times that these two face off against one another. Because the thing is, if you keep this Adept at home, what exactly is the advantage? There really isn't one. Unless you're scared of a Zergling run-by, there is really no particular reason to not send this Adept out, other than if you already have your strategy planned in advance and you don't care about any scouting information that you might obtain. So normally you send it out, after the probe, right? So the probe confirms the natural for the Zerg. You send out the adept to confirm that there is a third hatchery for the Zerg. Or for example, that there's no very quick baneling nest or roach warren or something like that. So keeping this adept at home, it screams in a way that he does not care about scouting information, and he's just going to do whatever he had planned in advance already. And I think if Reynor were to play against this little move in the future once more, he's probably going to go for a lair a little bit quicker. Now, obviously, if you play a series against someone, those kind of tells can help out. Like if it would have been a 2-base all-in, for example, the lair can sometimes be a little bit too pricey. But there's the Dark Shrine. So this is by no means the fastest possible Dark Shrine, but it's still pretty damn quick. So the proxy pylon in the bottom right is where the Dark Templar get warped in. So DT's Shrine finishes up at 417. And then the Dark Templar get warped in over there. So you can really finish up this upgrade nice and early. It's like a 2-minute long upgrade. I guess with Chrono Boost, though, it's pretty speedy. So this was a big misplay. If I go back for just a second. So here's the situation, right? There's a group of Zerglings out. It's only 13 of them. There's 6 more coming up. So Zerg made roughly 20 links here. That is by no means a weird number. We see this all the time when Zergling speed is finished. It is definitely a little bit aggressive from the Zerg, though, because maybe 12 or so would do a similar job. But this is mostly to punish greedy Protoss openers. And especially when there's a little misplay like that, life becomes a little bit tricky. So the problem here for Strange is that he just used the 3 warp gates that he's got to warp in Dark Templar in the bottom right-hand corner. And as soon as that happens, he can't warp in units for the base defense anymore, so he's almost forced to pull those adepts away. And this is something that Reynor uses right now, since there's no shield battery over here, and there's only one coming up over here. Those adepts, yeah, they're gonna be needed to defend the main wall in the natural, because there's no shield battery in that location. There's no oracle up in the air either, and now these adepts get denied. Yeah, that shield battery should have been faster. That shield battery could have prevented that Stalker from getting picked off and would have prevented those adepts from being forced to move away from the third base. Because imagine if the Dark Templar would have hit like 3 seconds later, right? To make up for the cost of the shield battery. And he would have done similar amounts of damage on the other side of the map as he did, while simultaneously keeping this third Nexus alive with the 2 adepts in the wall and the shield battery and everything. That would have been absolutely massive. Plus, right now, 475 minerals, 50 gas down the drain is quite significant. So I like this opener here from Strange quite a bit. And you can definitely tell that Reynor here is not entirely convinced what he's going up against. But yeah, it definitely has a little bit of room for improvement. Couple small things would really tighten the build up a little bit. And this sort of shenanigans can deal way more damage. So this is, by the way, a super late lair here from Mr. Reynor. This lair is exceptionally late. I think that's mostly also because of the fact that he ended up killing his opponent's third base. So he's like, okay, if my opponent has lost the third base, there's a chance that he's going to be forced into a 2-base all-in instead. And if it's going to be some sort of 2-base all-in, I haven't seen an Oracle yet. I haven't seen a Void Ray yet, because that would have come out when the third Nexus got sniped. So this is probably some sort of Robo Facility play, or for example, an Adept opener, right? Or worst case scenario, 4 Dark Templar into Archon drops. Now, of course, Strange decided to go for something that is completely out of the ordinary, but against pretty much all of the possible follow-ups that Strange could have gone for, other than the one that he actually went for, Reynor would have been A-okay, and he would have been in a phenomenal position. Like, if this would have been a standard DT opener into Archon drops, he would have shut it down. If this would have been an Adept push, right, with Glaives, he would have shut that down. If it would have been an Archon Immortal, I don't know, Sentry push, or an Immortal Sentry push, or an 8-gate all-in, or something like that, he would have been A-okay. Luckily here for Strange, he ended up dealing quite a bit of damage with that opener of his, but man, I would have loved to see how this game played out if he kept the third Nexus alive. I think it probably would have been... yeah, it probably would have been enough. So I just want to highlight what I tried putting out during the cast again. He decides to snipe the Roach Warren here. So he deals a lot of damage, right? He deals a lot of damage. He's trying to be as obnoxious as possible. And then while he's already transitioning towards his Robo Facility play, so now he's got double Robo Facility done, he's gonna go for the snipe on the Roach Warren, which is a little bit dangerous. There's definitely a chance that Reynor would have looked at this and he's like, okay, you know what? If you snipe my Roach Warren, I'm gonna go Hydra Bane instead, and he could have definitely thrown up a Hydralisk and a Baneling Nest here, rather than an Evo Chamber and a Roach Warren instead. And at that point, if you are making double Immortal into someone who's making a Hydraling Bane, yeah, the game is, yeah, pretty much over. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Let me know down below, by the way, in the comment section of this video, what do you think of the post-game analysis? I don't usually do a whole lot of that, because, at least in my mind, some of the things are pretty apparent, but especially when someone is playing a bit of a funky build order, it might be kind of nice to mix in. Hey, if you made it all the way until the end of this video, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button down below. And if you really enjoyed watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the little bell icon so you get notified as soon as future videos go up. For now, though, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.